Now, Orchid Pharma is the first company, first management on the show today. The stock has surged more than 100% in 2024. I mean, absolute stunner of a performer from, when the ownership changed back in 2020. Company expects FY25 growth to be moderate and long-term guidance and growth to remain between 20 and 25%. To discuss this and more on new launches, we have Manish Dhanuka, Managing Director at the company, joining in to take some questions. Manish, great to have you with us here. Thanks very much for your time. I just want to start with, the first question, which is your NCE. I'm not attempting to sort of spell out the molecule. I'll probably stumble. But the NCE, which is now well recognized as a big potential growth driver for you, you out-licensed that in the US. You've sort of partnered with a local biggie here in India. And I think it's already selling in Europe. In US, though, which is supposed to be the larger opportunity for that NCE, what is the status? Has the licensing to sell begun? When will sales start? Could you sort of outline that for us?
So as per the last discussion with Allegra, our licensee, they are having advanced discussions with a couple of out licensees. But I don't think that the deal has been closed as of now.
By when do you think? So you tied up with a US pharma company, and they have to in turn sort of tie up with someone to start to sell the product, right? By when will that happen?
The molecule was actually discovered in India by Orchid Pharma some 10 years back. And then it was out-licensed to Allegra, right? That's a German company, basically backed by some private equity. And they have done all the clinical phase trials, and now they are out-licensing across the world. So they have out-licensed to Advanced Pharma in Europe, and they have tied up with a couple of companies in the Middle East, still in discussions with people in the US market. We have got the rights to market, commercialize the product in India, and we have tied up with Cipla for a co-marketing.
Correct. Right. So by when do you think this can happen in the US? Could you give us, once it happens, what could be annual revenues from this product? You will collect a royalty out of this. Same question for Europe. What are annual sort of potential revenues from this? And for you, what would it mean? And give us a sense of India as well. Go on.
Yeah, so Orchid is entitled to get 6 to 8% royalty on the worldwide sales that the licensees of Allegra make. With respect to the market size, you see the antibiotics tend to grow slowly because there are definitely multiple molecules available in the market. We feel that the molecule has good potential. And if you look at some of the past history of the antibiotic molecules, they have tended to grow in the later years. Maybe first 2 years would not be so much of a growth, but later on, we expect maybe it should be able to touch about $1 billion of sales over the next 10 years. I would say spread out over the next 10 years.
This molecule worldwide, $1 billion of sales?
Worldwide over the 10 years period.
Over 10 years. Right. Over 10 years, it implies roughly $100 million, $150 million annually. 6 to 8% royalty would mean close to around, $6 to $8 million in royalty for players like you. Would that be a correct way of assessing that over the next 10 years if one has to build a model? $6 to $8 million of annual royalty coming from this?
That would mean after a few years, that's what we expect, yeah. But obviously, how the other molecules play out, because there are other molecules being pitched by companies like Merck and other multinational companies. So it really depends how the medical practitioners view this molecule.
Right. You said after a few years. Could you give us a sense of timeline, say maybe 2 years, 3 years from now? What could the timeline for this?
It should take 4 or 5 years to reach its high level of sales, yeah.
And what about India? Street is expecting about 200 crore worth sales from India. When do you reach that?
So we have never highlighted the sales number on this molecule as such. Again, I would go by the potential of the molecule. The molecule has the potential to spare meropenem, which we all understand these days. Everybody knows about antimicrobial resistance, and meropenem being a very important antibiotic for the resistant bacteria. This particular molecule can spare meropenem, where the doctors are prescribing meropenem for the empirical therapy. And this molecule can be used as a first line of the drug, and that will spare meropenem. So that way, we feel there's a lot of potential. It has got much better efficacy over the existing first line therapy molecules. So the potential is huge, but again, it depends how the doctors view the overall performance of the product.
Meropenem in India does how much, just roughly, according to you?
So it's difficult to put a number on it, but we do expect to sell 4 lakh injections, at least in the first year.
Manish, just one last question. Just to get these numbers right, the annual $6 to $8 million will start 4 years from now. You'll get to that run rate in about 4 years from now, right? And then it'll continue for the next 10 years. That's your expectation.
Yes.
Okay. And
based on the history of few molecules over the last 5-7 years. Yeah.
Okay. Now again, since we're talking about projections over a slightly longish time frame, we only talked about this one molecule, but you've got you're trying to build out a branded business and other things as well. What could say 3-4 years down the line, what could revenues for Orchid look like? Taking everything into account, but the other stuff that you're doing as well.
Yeah, so we're expecting about 20% growth in our regular API business. Then besides that, we are setting up a plant for manufacturing 7-ACA, which should go on stream 2 years from now, and that has a potential to generate 400 to 500 crores of revenue once it goes full steam. Then there's a project that we have tied up with Shionogi and GARDP, and we have licensed out their molecule called cefiderocol, which is still under patent, and they have licensed out to Orchid Pharma for manufacturing for the low-income countries. And that molecule would also, the manufacturing facility for that molecule would also be ready sometime in 2026. That molecule also has a potential to generate 150 to 200 crores of revenue.
All right, so 20% revenue growth and EBITDA growth faster, right? 35% CAGR is what the brokerages are expecting.
I can't say what the brokerages are expecting, but we do expect 20% growth, and we hope with the 7-ACA and the cefiderocol production, the margins should improve.
All right, Manish, we'll leave it there. We wish you all the luck, and thank you very much for joining us and patiently explaining all of that to us and our viewers. We take a break. We're back. Mitesh and Shilpa Raut will be joining in for some technical trading ideas. So that's coming up. Stay with us.